Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the TBScouts Talking Heads show. I'm your host Boris,
Eric Talley.
and we have another special guest on today's show. We have a guest from the collegiate level today. So, Tally, I'll go ahead and let you introduce our guest speaker for today.
Yes, coming all the way from Trinity University. Is it Jimmy or James? Which one you want to go by? Let's get that. I hate to kind of make it fun already, Coach, but which one you want to go by? Because I've seen both now.
I go by Jimmy. The Trinity email says James, so people get a little thrown off by that. But yeah, Jimmy is what I prefer.
There we go. So we're going to introduce all the way from Trinity University, Jimmy Smith, the head basketball coach. All right, with all that said, Coach, go ahead and introduce yourself or give us a quick bio.
Okay. Yeah, so I grew up in Arlington, Texas, and went to high school at Martin High School. That's where I played. Went on to play basketball at Division III school, Mary Hardin Baylor in Belton, Texas. And from there, I wasn't sure if I wanted to coach or go into business. I got my degree in business management. So I ended up going to Sam Houston State and was a graduate assistant there under Bob Marlin, and also got my MBA while I was doing that. So I thought I was real smart at that point with the NBA. So I'm not going to coach. I'm going to go make some money, right? So I went and worked for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals for about 3 years, and obviously everyone kind of knows of them now with the COVID vaccine. But did that and just missed coaching, missed the team camaraderie and just the competition and all the things that come with being a part of a team is special. So I was fortunate enough to get hired back as an assistant at Mary Hardin Baylor, where I went to school. And then from there, we had some good years. So I got the opportunity to be a head coach at the age of 30 at Schreiner University. And then since then, I've been a head coach at Schreiner, Texas Lutheran, Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi. Went back to Sam Houston for a little bit as an assistant. And I'm fortunate enough now to be the head coach at Trinity and here in San Antonio and going into year 3. So been at a lot of different places, seen a lot of different things, and had a lot of really good experiences, and definitely have learned from all of those.
Two things I want to just go a little bit deeper on. One is your work history, and then two, how many different colleges that you've been on the staff at, because I think some people may not know, like even myself included. I know that you're head coach at Trinity, but I didn't even know that you were head coach and assistant coach and graduate assistant at different schools. So that's cool because it gives you perspective, and people think of just Trinity, but actually you have insight to other programs. So I guess first off, let's talk about how many, just like the number of different colleges that you've been a part of from a staff perspective. And then secondly, I want to just dive into your work history, because you mentioned that you worked for Pfizer, which is completely different than basketball. And then, when you were a graduate assistant coming out of college and stuff. So we'll take it one bite at a time. But first, let's talk about how many different colleges that you've been on staff at.
Yeah, so I've been an assistant at 2 different schools, so Mary Hardin Baylor and Sam Houston State, and then a head coach now at 4 different programs. So Schreiner, Texas Lutheran, Millsaps, and Trinity. So
Hey, congratulations! That's awesome. You've been the head coach at 4 different college programs. That's pretty amazing.
And real quick, let me interrupt you. Let me give you your flowers real quick. I was reading up on your bio there. I saw you were now this award that you received, because none of you guys like to talk about your awards. I don't understand this. Maybe you guys gotta tell me this, because me, I would have been, hey, I've been this guy and that guy. But real quick, you were selected by your peers as the co-coach of the year for 2020 and 2021, correct? Am I right?
yes,
Got the year right?
yes, that's correct.
So can you kind of elaborate on that? Like, I know, again, reading your bio, you've done a phenomenal job everywhere you've been. You went from, I was looking at one of the schools you went from, they had a losing record, I believe it was 10-16, and you turned it around and you went 10-2.
Yes.
So can you talk about that a little bit, as far as some of the jobs you held, and what is your success to turning those schools around? Like, what are you doing? Not saying that the last guy didn't do, because we don't want to do that, but we want to just say, what are you doing that you bring with you that that's making those schools and the players that you're having to touch you, or you're touching, change their whole, how they look at the whole basketball scene?
I think the thing that we've done a really good job of is I think we're really transparent. We set the expectations of what how we're where we want to get to first, and how we're going to get there, and what that path looks like, and try to hold the guys and ourselves accountable for each and every step it takes to do that. I also think we've done a good job of playing a style at each school that fits the personnel that we have. That's kind of been my philosophy, is let's recruit the best student athletes that we can, players and also people. And once we get that group together, let's figure out the best way to play that suits that team. And even if you're at the same program, it could be different from year to year based on who you have. And so I think, that's a lot of it. We tried to tell our guys, like, we're going to expect you to work hard and do all these things. And you're going to know from a coaching staff that we're going to give you everything we got, and we're going to be available, and, give you all the resources and all the work that we can to give you the best opportunity to win each day. And, I think when you have that mutual trust, each side is willing to work, even though we're working together, we're having to push each other too. And so when you know that the other side is giving you everything they have, it's a lot easier for the other ones to do it as well. So I would say that was, there's obviously a lot to it, but just kind of an overall concept. I think that's probably the biggest factors we've had that have allowed us to be successful everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't mean to change the topic or anything from what we were talking about, but I just wanted to make sure you let the audience know that you've been winning. And it's not about just winning. Please don't make me think that make me talk that that's the most important part, but the success of the players and them buying into that. Because again, especially from the high school level, winning's not everything, but you have to win to get guys like you in the building. You're not going to go watch a team that's 4-22 and they never go to the playoffs. I don't care who they have in their gym. It's harder to get you in there. So that's, again, I just want to give you the kudos and your flowers for your success right now and every job you've held in the collegiate level of what you're doing. And I want to make sure the audience does know that everywhere you've been, you've changed and made a difference in that what you're doing there, coaching wise.
Appreciate it. It's definitely been a fun experience.
So can you talk a little bit? I want to just dive into the meat and potatoes. Talk to us about this upcoming class that you have. How many new players did you add to your roster? And then I'm going to ask you, like, how did you do your recruiting? So let's start with how many new players you added to your roster and what your team's looking like right now.
We actually have a lot returning from last year's team, which is exciting. We returned all 5 starters, so that on paper things look pretty good from that standpoint. And in general, we had a lot of guys coming back. So this was a small class. We only brought in 4 guys. 2 of them are from the local San Antonio area. Kevin Garcia from Wagner High School, and then Hunter Darling actually transferred back. He had gone to Bernie Champion and then St. Mary's Hall, and then went out to a Division III out in Georgia and was injured and didn't play. And so he came back. Will be a freshman eligibility wise for us. And then we have a guy out of the New Orleans area, and then a guy from Michigan. So 4 guys, all very versatile, in between 6'2" and 6'5", and that's a lot of what we're looking for is guys that can do a lot of different things. We really try to space the floor and be versatile defensively, and so in our recruiting, that's definitely something we focus on, is guys that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I guess it seems like time is going slow because congratulations on signing Kevin Garcia from Wagner. He's a versatile player. He's got some size on him as well. And it seems like he signed so long ago, but this is just about to be his, I guess when this season starts, it'll be his first time playing with you guys. But it seems like he signed a long time ago. I forgot that he's with you guys. So it'd be cool to see him suited up in your guys' uniforms and playing. And I'm going to make an effort, too, to make it out to more games this season just to see you guys. All right. And so you added 4 new guys. How many players?
Real quick. Real quick. I don't want to lose it while we have it. It's hot. So you got 2 local guys, if I'm correct. I want to make sure we give, again, flowers to that good stuff because that's important. So you got 2. Who was the other young man you said again?
Hunter Darling. So Hunter went to Bernie Champion and then transferred to St. Mary's Hall his senior year. And so he graduated in the class of 22 and went out to Covenant College out in Georgia, but had an ankle injury, so he didn't play, and so he transferred back closer to home to be with us this year. So he's a sophomore, in the classroom, but he is a freshman basketball wise. And we have several local guys. We have Tanner Brown will be a junior for us from Brandeis High School. Tanner's been a really important part of the team. He was our second leading scorer as a freshman, a sophomore. He was the district MVP on that Brandeis team that made it to the Final Four and then got canceled because of COVID. So
Yes.
Tanner is a really good player. And we also have AJ Clark, will be a senior for us this year from Johnson High School. So the San Antonio area has definitely been good to us. Absolutely. Those guys are all important pieces of the program.
Good stuff, baby.
And from this class, just to kind of hear what the split is like, how many fresh out of high school players did you get, and how many college transfers did you get? Because obviously everybody always talks about transfer portal and how things are really tough for high school players and stuff like that these days, which, it's all depending on where you're trying to play at. So it's not the same story for everybody. But what's kind of that split between like fresh out of high school players that you got and then college transfers? And I know you just kind of mentioned now you got 4 new players, and it sounds like it's like half and half, but maybe even like this year what it looked like, and even the previous year, like each year, how many people do you get out of high school, and how many like older guys do you look for that might be transfers?
Absolutely. Our model, I think, is a little bit different than others. I mean, we're really trying to kind of build the program and continue to grow from the ground up. So like even we just had 1 transfer in this incoming class. And then in the previous class, we had 1 transfer as well. So the majority of our guys are coming in as freshmen. And I just think, with the academic programs that Trinity offers and the education, it's not the easiest school to transfer to, because a lot of times, it's not to say it can't happen, but just with the curriculum and stuff, like maybe not all your class will transfer and things like that, but just from a basketball perspective, this is a long-term thing for me and for us. And so we're trying to just build this thing kind of organically and do it with guys that have been around and paid their dues in the program. And, I don't want our guys to worry that I'm going to just bring in a 5th-year senior on top of them or something like that. Like if they do what they're supposed to do and continue to improve, that, they're going to get their time, whether it's as a freshman or a junior, that if they continue to put the work in, they're going to get that opportunity. So not to say that's the right perspective. I think from our standpoint in our university, that works best. But and that's not to say we won't take a transfer that makes sense and fits. But we're definitely focusing a lot more on recruiting high school seniors than transfers.
Nice, that's good to hear. And with that, how do you do your recruiting? Like, how do you recruit players?
Yeah, so it's kind of starts out as a large funnel. So we try to get out to as many events as we can. There's a lot of great events that are being put on in the state, and start to identify talent. For us, with the academics standards that we have, kind of the next question is, can we get a copy of your transcript and evaluate that just to see if admissions wise guys are have the grades to get in. And then from there, we just kind of narrow the list down and start to have conversations and see what the interest level is. And then, have guys on visits and go from there. So it's just kind of, that's how it goes. Evaluation, guys that fit what we're looking for, see what kind of student they are, see what kind of person they are, get to know them and their families, and then try to get them on a visit to see all the things that Trinity has to offer. And you can get a pretty good feel of where people are at from there. And then hopefully we can get some guys committed after that. So, we're in that process right now. We had a guy that was on campus this weekend that just left, and a couple other guys that came to do some campus, like initial campus tours. The guy that was on campus this weekend was his second visit. We had a couple guys coming in next weekend, and then the weekend after that. And trying to get as many people to see what we have before their season starts, because once we're playing and they're playing, it's hard to get people on campus because our seasons coincide. So So really the spring and summer is where we do most of the evaluations, and then spend like late spring, summer, and fall trying to get people to campus when it makes sense for their schedule.
And these visits, are these like unofficial visits or the official visits? I know are you at the D3 level?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I know that there's so many different rule books and recruiting calendars and rules for Division 1, 2, and 3, and all of that. But for where you're at, Division 3, these players that have come to see you, are they just like unofficial visits, official visits? Like, are they just coming out of whenever and the reason why I'm asking this is because if a player is interested, and I'm guessing these players are probably visiting for spots for next year.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So what would they be? Would be the 2023 class. Yeah, our guys that are coming to visit now.
Okay. So they're being proactive. They're not about to start their senior year right now. Actually, they are. Yeah. I'm thinking they're not 2022s that are like trying to get something before this college starts here, like in a month.
Unsigned seniors.
But yeah, I was thinking unsigned seniors. But yeah, these are guys going into their senior year. They come by and meet you. So the reason why I'm asking this question is like if a player is interested in playing for you, do they just need to like schedule an unofficial visit and come see you? Like what's the easiest and best thing that you prefer for a kid that's interested in it and who's willing to come like see you in person?
So I'll kind of answer all of that. There's two ways. I mean, sometimes it's us seeing guys, having that initial phone conversation, kind of developing that relationship and saying, hey, we would like you to come see campus, you know. Then also there's guys that reach out to us that are interested in the university and interested in our program. And the best way there is like they'll usually send an email with some film links and things like that to give us an opportunity to watch some highlights and some game film. And then a lot of times, guys that we haven't seen live or had the opportunity to see live, we'll invite to. We usually do 2 or 3 prospect camps a year, like we did one at the towards the very end of the summer, and then we'll do one again, like once our season ends this year. And that's a good way for guys to get on campus. We'll do a campus tour; they can see everything. Our guys, a lot of our players work the camps, so they get a chance to meet them and work with our coaching staff. And then we get to see them play. So it's kind of a win for everybody because they get to do like an unofficial visit, like you're talking about, and also get to compete against some other good players and meet our coaches and staff at the same time. So, like we can do official visits, just like Division 1, Division 2. So one of the young men we had on campus this weekend was an official visit, and then the other 2 guys that we had come to a prospect camp, and then the university was doing like an admissions event where they just gave information about everything: admissions, financial aid, did another campus tour, get to meet professors, things like that. And so a couple of the guys became more interested in our program from coming to the camp, so they came back to just learn a little bit more and get kind of a full experience of all the things the school has to offer versus just the basketball side. So we can do both, and it just kind of varies on what part of the year we're in and what part of the recruitment we're in with each guy, because obviously you're further along with some guys than others based on just when you started talking to them.
Quick question for you, sir, Coach. As far as the recruitment and the scholarship piece of it all, again, here's where's my ignorance is at, and again, this is why we got you on the show, just to kind of help people like me out and those who don't know. When it comes to scholarships, one, how many scholarships do you have? And then how does it work for a player to get a scholarship with a D3 school?
Division 3 does not offer academic scholarships. And so I'm sorry, athletic scholarships. Division 3 does not offer athletic scholarships, which throws people kind of off the scent, if you will say, when they hear that. But that doesn't mean that you can't get a lot of money to attend these institutions. So for us, it starts with your merit scholarship. So, once you are admitted to the university, based on your academic profile, you're going to receive a merit scholarship. Like our top merit scholarship right now is $32,000 a year. I mean, so it's substantial. And then if you qualify for the top scholarship, then you're able to compete for a full tuition scholarship as well later on in the year with everyone else that qualified for that scholarship. So obviously it starts there and it comes down. So first they look at that, and then the university also looks at, what your need is. And so from a college standpoint, you fill out the FAFSA, and what the FAFSA does is it, based on like your income level and tax returns and things like that, number of children you have in college. There's several factors that are looked at to determine, what the FAFSA feels your family can contribute to college each year. It gives you an EFC number, which EFC is estimated family contribution. And so for a university like us, they're going to look at, maybe it says you can pay nothing for college, right? And so then there's going to be where the institutional aid comes in, to subsidize, what your need is to attend the university. And so for us, I mean, Trinity is making a really big push, and we're hopeful that, we're close right now, but that we would be meeting full need, maybe as early as next year. So if the EFC said your family can contribute zero to college and you can get into Trinity, then you would pay nothing. And so there's a lot of or if it says you could pay 10 grand, you would pay 10 grand a year, like whatever that number is. Our university is pushing pretty hard to get there. So not every school does that. Every Division III school does it a little bit differently, but I would say in general, that's the model. Is first you're going to look at your academic scholarship or merit scholarship that you receive. And then from there, it's, what other institutional aid could you potentially qualify for? And that will encompass your whole financial aid package. So, it's a misnomer about Division III without athletic scholarships is oftentimes you can come, to a school like Trinity for less than maybe you would if you were getting a partial NAIA or Division II scholarship, So, but a lot of people don't know that. So I appreciate kind of the platform you guys have given me to, educate some people on that, because it's definitely worth pursuing a lot of different avenues just to see what else out there.
And then my second part to that was for the I'm trying to name all the states that's connected to Texas. So excuse me if I miss one, but we're talking about Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico. I don't think I'm missing any. But with those three states, can you guys recruit from those three areas, or due to the fact, we're talking about, monetary or the grade specific scholarship, do you guys touch those guys or even go to Colorado or further?
Absolutely. I mean, we have in this incoming class of 4 guys, I mean, 2 of the 4 out of state. So we have one guy from the New Orleans area,
Good.
one guy from Michigan. I mean, on our team, we've got another guy from New Orleans. We've got a guy from Connecticut. We have a guy from Switzerland. So we as a private school, we don't have an issue of like in-state versus out-of-state tuition. It's the same for everybody. And we're fortunate because of our academic reputation. I mean, a lot of people across the country are interested in our university, and then being in San Antonio with all the city has to offer, it's definitely a big draw. So for me, when I first got hired 2 years ago, I felt like there's a lot of high achieving, good basketball players in the state. And our roster was kind of like 50-50 out of state, in state. So we really spent the last couple of years trying to establish ourselves as, hey, if you're a good student and you want to play college basketball, like you should give Trinity a look. And so most of our guys the last 2 years have been in state, but we've started to branch out a little bit more, and look out of state as well, because we get a ton of interest and emails and stuff from people all over the country.
Okay.
I want to before I forget, jump back to the recruiting, and I'm thinking about how soon you guys look at players, because we mentioned about the visits and building those relationships, and I'm just thinking about again, like Kevin Garcia, who's a local guy, and I know Kevin a little bit more than maybe some other guys, so that's just why I keep bringing his name up. But when do you start looking at players? Like, do you start looking at them? Surely you don't just look at them starting their senior year. When do you start looking at a player, and when would you advise that players even start looking at you guys and start sending you the film and introducing themselves and stuff like that? And the reason why I'm asking you this question for our viewers is to let them know that you don't wait to the last minute. You don't wait till your senior year to start doing recruiting. Recruiting starts as early as however soon you say. And just from a real life experience, like when have you started like looking at, certain players, what grades and stuff like that?
So the way we do it is we go class to class. But we definitely, for instance, we're recruiting 2023s right now. Like they're going to be the freshman class of next year and all the guys that are seniors this year. But we already have a list of 2024s, or if we see a 2025 that we like we're gonna mark that down and start to communicate with, not really the 25s yet, but with the 24s. And hey, we've seen you, we like you. You may not hear from us a ton just because right now we're focused on recruiting our 2023 class, but would love for you to come see campus, come to a camp, come watch us practice, come see a game. All of those things are important. And so every level is different in kind of their timelines, but you're right. A lot of people wait till their season's almost over as a senior and then start to reach out and show interest. And for us, like, there's a good chance we'll be done with our 2023 class by December, and then we're moving on to the 24s. And so
By
yeah,
this December.
yeah, I mean, that's the goal, is for us we're going to have another class of 4 or 5 this year. And we're going to try to be, I mean, we may not, but I mean, we're going to see if we can get everybody done by then, because it would be great. You know what I
So
mean?
with that being said, and I'm glad that you said that, because some players might think, "Oh, I have my whole senior year to get recruited." Well, you can think that, but some colleges are like cutting off at December, which is like a month into the basketball season.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's I would say timelines are sped up, and again, every program does it a little bit differently. But I mean, with the portal and all the stuff that's going on, I mean, there's less spots available for guys because of the 5th year opportunities that are out there for everyone that participated, during the COVID year. So I think it's given a little bit more urgency, and I think the high school coaches are starting to understand a little more that it's like, hey, if you have a program that you like and they like you and you feel good about it, you probably should do it instead of, waiting until the end, because that spot might get taken up by somebody else. So I mean, that's what we're trying to do. Is I'm never going to put a deadline on someone. They got to make a decision when they're comfortable, but get out earlier and see campuses. Like, go see as many campuses as you can. If you're on a family vacation, like, pop over to a school that's local and just do a tour, so that when you do these visits at the schools you're interested in, you have some reference points of like, I like this about this place, I like this about that one, I didn't like this, so that you kind of know what you're looking for when it's time to make a decision. I think people wait too late, and then they don't really have a good frame of reference about what's really out there, and they got to just make a rush decision. And so that's would be my recommendation to everyone is, even if you're a freshman or sophomore in high school right now, like, start to go to campuses and do campus tours and go to some of these prospect camps of the schools you're interested in, just to get a frame of reference of about what's what. So hopefully that makes some sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and thank you for elaborating on that. And what you just said is you have to be active. You got to be active and you got to be proactive. Like, it takes an investment of time, it takes an investment of gas money to go to these places, but that's what you have to do if you're serious about playing basketball. You got to do that. So thanks for sharing that. That did answer my question, and just highlights the point that recruiting is. I think recruiting is simple, but it's not easy.
Right, right. I agree. And I mean, a lot of the recruiting happens outside of the high school season. So because of what I'm saying is we're playing at the same time. So your times to get seen are usually in the periods of the fall, spring, and summer, when the both basketball seasons aren't going on at the same time. So that's more of a time just to kind of check in on guys that you've already identified, as much as just finding new people. And it's not to say it doesn't happen, but I would say more so people are seen in these other periods.
Nice.
So, real quick, Coach, let's talk about your schedule real quick. I just saw. Now, I want to make sure I didn't misread this. Your first game is it on November 7th, I believe, against UTSA.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, Coach. Okay, I see you. You trying to make a statement, huh?
Hey, I mean, I think one thing that we're trying to do is, there's what, 5 college programs here in San Antonio, and
Yes, sir.
just start to kind of get that going, where we start to play each other more often, and get some of that inner city, competition going,
Yes.
and
Yes.
also working together on things. I think we can all help each other as well. It's not about just trying to beat each other, but working together to kind of help everybody's program get better.
It is. And then I was looking also, that's what I was doing on my phone while you and Boris were talking. I was looking and seeing how far you guys travel. So I believe you're going to Colorado, or you could go to Colorado one of your division games, right? So tell me how do you guys travel for that? How would you guys? What's the, again being D3, is it a bus ride? Is it a plane ride? What's the logistics of that going from school to? Is it during a weekday, weekend? How'd that all work?
Sure. So for our program and in our conference, pretty academic focused, and so our league games are either we play two a week, but it's either Friday and Saturday or Friday Sunday in league play, depending on how spread out the second opponent is. But we have travel partner systems. So, for instance, our travel partner is Shriner in Kerrville, which is 45 minutes away. So when teams come into town to play us, we'll say Southwestern and Texas Lutheran, right? Like we would play Southwestern on Friday and Shriner would play Texas Lutheran on Friday, and then we would flip. And so then we would play Texas Lutheran on Saturday and Shriner would play Southwestern. So our league consists of 9 teams. So we have 7 in Texas and then 2 out of state. And so Colorado College in Colorado Springs is in our conference. And so that's a flight trip for us every year to go out there and play them. And then Centenary in Shreveport, Louisiana is the other out of state team in our league. And so, but yeah, we try to do a flight trip as well in the non-conference schedule. So this year we're flying out to Rochester, New York, and we're playing in their tournament. So we play UTSA November 7th, and then we'll fly out that Wednesday to go to Rochester and play in that tournament Friday and Saturday. And then we're going to spend Sunday going over Niagara Falls, which isn't too far away, and then we'll fly back Sunday night. So usually we'll do one flight trip non-conference, and then we'll play some in-state games. But what's nice for us is because we're in San Antonio, there's a lot of these out-of-state teams that want to come to San Antonio and play. So for instance, we've got a team from Pennsylvania, a team from Wisconsin coming to play us right before Christmas. We had, I think, 3 or 4 out-of-state teams come in last year. So we are fortunate that we get to play kind of a national schedule based on our ability to go and fly places, and also people wanting to get away from the cold and come down to San Antonio during the holiday season.
My next question, being a D3, have you ever had a player that you shared with the football team or the other sport like track or cross country or something like that? Have you ever had that?
At Trinity, I haven't, but I have. I was an assistant at Mary Hardin Baylor for 3 years, and we had a couple guys that were receivers on the football team that were also really good basketball players, and so we would get them after football was over. But it's a possibility; it can happen. But you got to be pretty special to do that.
Right, right, right. And I think that's, again, it's important to know because a lot of kids be thinking sometimes that, oh, I can play both sports because, we talk to a lot of the high school coaches, and they do kind of, especially for the smaller schools, do encourage that. But I always tell kids too, there's somewhere along the way of your high school career, you're going to have to make a decision on which sport becomes hey, I'm going to try to go to college for this sport. And a lot of them sometimes, think that, well, I can play both. No, you can't play both. You can play both for high school, but as far as one being your bread and butter, and you're going to work on over the summertime, has to be one of the sports. So that's why I was asking that question, kind of alluding
Question.
to.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, when I was at Millsaps, we did also have some guys that after basketball season would do track, some long jumping and high jumping and things like that. So I think there is some sports it's a possibility. But like you said, I mean, you got to be special and you got to have really good time management and a good work ethic because you're doing 2 things while everyone else is doing one. And so it's hard to stay up with, with the people that are just focusing on one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and just going back to the how you fly to certain games and stuff. I'm always fascinated with college sports, and I just think it's cool to have players like travel when they go and fly places, and it makes you feel like you're in the pros. Like because in high school you guys don't really get on planes and go travel and stay in hotels and stuff. So I think sometimes that might be a little bit part of the game that might be overlooked by some people, even if they say like, no matter what division it is that you're playing in, just college sports in general. If you get, I think it's cool that your team has the ability to fly on a plane. Because certain colleges, just due to their certain budgets and things like that, don't get that full experience. But I think it's cool that players that go to your school have the opportunity to catch a flight, to go play in a game, make you feel like a professional. I just think it's cool.
It is fun. It's fun, and like I said, we try to have some good experiences outside of just the game. Obviously, the game is the primary focus, and we want to win that. But try to get some educational stuff there as well and some life experiences. But like I tell our guys, is the reason we want to do these things is, when you get in the NCAA tournament, like it's likely you're going to get flown somewhere. And so you got to prepare for that. And you got to know what that looks like and be able to handle the travel and focus in on what's necessary. So, that's a part of it too, is that if you get where you want to go, you're going to have to do that. So it's better to prepare for it on the front end if you can.
I got two more questions for you, Coach. You said most of your games are on either Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. So with that being said, since it's not that much time in between games, how do you guys prepare for your week to play both games back to back? Because it's almost like a tournament style play for the kids coming from high school, just being not too far removed from that. How do you what do you focus on? What are some of the things that a player needs to look at or think about as they start to get ready to come to the collegiate part of their or the end of their high school and try to get into the collegiate part? What?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, scouting is obviously a huge part of the college game and is really important to our program as well. And so what we'll do is we won't focus on Saturday's opponent prior to Friday's game, but what we will do is if a team runs, a certain action or certain types of ball screens or angles or things like that, we'll introduce that into our defensive work and our shell drills and things like that without really telling the guys why. And so then and we'll focus primarily on Friday on like what, the team we're playing Friday is going to run and what their sets are and how we're going to guard that. But then Saturday will hit and we'll be like, hey, guys, remember how we were guarding that, cross screen, down screen action in our shell drill? Well, this is why. When we're showing them the film, like this is one of the things that they like to do. And remember we worked on how we wanted to guard that. And so we'll be able to walk through that stuff again in our shoot around for Saturday or Sunday's game, and then also in our film work prior to that as well. So some of it is just introducing some concepts about Saturday's opponent without like taking the focus off Friday's game.
Okay. And then as far as you mentioned the tournament, I know that the D3 level is a bit different, but can you talk about the actual style of tournament? Is it 64 team, tournament, or is it kind of the same? Or okay, it is. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it is. It's a 64 team tournament. The only difference in ours and say the Division I tournament is the first 2 weekends are going to be hosted at institutions. So
Okay.
whereas the Division I tournament is neutral site the entire time, only our Final Four is going to be completely neutral. So, for instance, last year we made it to the NCAA tournament, but we ended up staying in state. So Mary Hardin Baylor and Belton hosted a 4-team regional that we were in, and so it was us and Whitworth University out of Spokane, Washington, and then Mary Hardin Baylor played Chapman University out of California. So we all were together at that one pod. And then we were able to beat Whitworth, and then Mary Hardin Baylor won, and they actually unfortunately knocked us off in the second round. But then you move on to the Sweet 16, and so then again that's going to be hosted somewhere, and you're going to have four 4-team pods, and then whoever wins those 4 pods, your next weekend is the Final Four, which for us is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, but that's how it works. Yeah, same format. Play 3 weekends. You got to win 2 games each weekend to move on, or if you can win 6 in a row, you win it all. So it's exciting for sure.
And I kind of, it kind of goes to giving you your flowers again. If I'm correct, Trinity haven't seen the actual the 64 within since 2016, I believe I was reading way before you came on board. Yeah, see, so that's why I brought that up, and again, to let everybody know that you're not only, you're doing everything right over there. You guys are doing a really, really good job, and getting those kids to see, again, it doesn't matter D1, D2, D3, NAIA. You're giving them the full experience of a college athlete. So again, I wanted to make sure I bring those things up because that's important. Because people, think like, hey, I'm going to a D3. No, you still get the same opportunities to play. Now, so that goes to another question. Just made me think of: have you ever had an opportunity to get a guy, or had a guy you coached, and then he got a chance to play either in the NBA or go to a D1 school, or go past that? I know it's a silly question, but again, I'm just showing that it can't. I know it's possible. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Absolutely. I mean, I've coached numerous guys, never anyone that's played in the NBA, but a lot of guys that have gone on to play overseas. And there's a lot of good opportunities to do those kind of things. And I think as the game continues to evolve, it's less and less about, where you went to school and more about, what your skill set is and what you can do. Um, there's been quite a few guys over the last couple of years with COVID stuff going on, or just injuries that have gone on to play at Division I schools, as graduate transfers, and have done really well. There's a guy that we actually recruited when I was at Shriner, named Keenan Gums, that ended up transferring to Liberty and played on their NCAA tournament team as a fifth-year senior. And there was a guy that played for UT Dallas, Demetrius Underwood, that transferred to College of Charleston, and had a great year. Started and averaged almost the double as like a 6'3" guard. So Duncan Robinson is a guy that transferred from Division III to Michigan, and now everyone sees what he's doing. So there's a lot of guys that everybody can play. And one thing I tell people all the time is all these high schools are popping up, right? New high schools are popping up, but they're not making new colleges and universities. So there's more and more players, there's more and more opportunities to play, there's more talent, but there's the same amount or less spots to go to college and play. And so every level is just getting better and better every year. And so it's exciting. I mean, I always joke I played Division III basketball from 2000 to 2004, and I'm glad I played when I did. I don't know if I would have gotten recruited now. So it's definitely a good level, and I mean a lot of talent for sure. It's fun basketball.
And I think one thing also is needed. Like just like the AAU level, I always say there's levels to AAU basketball because everybody can't play on a sneaker team. So with having that, you got to have certain levels. So I'm glad to see that it trickles on from the AAU side to the high school to the collegiate side. It's really important. And again, that's the good part of having you come on and talk about this and just kind of bring some light on what you guys are doing over there. You're doing a tremendous job, and again, I can't tell you that enough. Just reading your bio just lets me see, wow, we're fortunate here in San Antonio to have all the good coaches that we are, and just really giving back to the community the way you guys are. So again, kudos to you.
I appreciate it, and I think you make a great point with it. With the AAU stuff, is everywhere you go, it's about fit, and so even being on maybe a sneaker team where you're not going to play very much, or they're not going to play a style that fits your skill set, versus playing on a team where that fits what you can do and where you can have success and where you can develop, it's the same for when you're looking at colleges and universities. You got to be with people that are want you to be there and are going to help you get where you need to go and play a style or a system or run a program that fits you, because you see that all the time. A guy is great somewhere and then goes somewhere else and isn't very good, or isn't very good somewhere and then goes somewhere else and is really good, right? And so it's all about fit. And so I think for us, I understand everyone wants to go as high as they can go, right? Like that's human nature. Everyone wants to do that. But the reality of it is like you want to go to a situation where that fits you and you're comfortable and you can be successful. And so I think that's what I talk to as many young people as I can is, don't chase the highest thing. I mean, instead of maybe trying to go to UT, like look at UTSA. Maybe the way they play and their style of play fits you better than, you know what I mean? And that trickles all the way down from Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, all of that stuff. And even AU programs, you see guys bouncing around all the time. It's find that program that's going to help you develop and grow and give you the best opportunity to show what you can do.
Cool. Well, Coach, thank you very much for your time. I think we're gonna wind it down for today, but for the last segment, I want to give you the opportunity to um, plug your program. I know that we've talked about, your school um, is a NCAA D3 school. We talked about the opportunities that the players have to fly. They can fly to games. They play a good circuit. You're playing teams like UTSA. One thing we didn't mention is that you have a beautiful gym. You have a beautiful facility. Multi-layer, multi-story facility that the players can play on. So you get a great college atmosphere and feel. I didn't talk about the meal plan. From my experience, most college athletes, some of the big expenses that they look at is like, their the room and board and the meal plan and all of that. I'm sure you guys have a cafeteria and stuff. And as far as the financing of that, I'm sure comes through the financial aid like we talked about earlier. But can you sell your program a little bit and like just talk about like how is their food covered, the facilities, and then your circuit, and just kind of like promote your program? We want to give you that stage right now to promote, so that players that are looking, we know right now the 2023's class is kind of maybe coming to an end, but for those players that are in the class of 2024, in the class of 2025, or even younger that are interested, what can you tell us about your program?
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. And it's not too late for the 2023 class. But I would just encourage guys to get a little more serious about the schools that they're interested in, or the ones that are showing them love right now. Like, make sure that they are appreciative of that and serious and letting people know, where they're at with things. But as far as Trinity, I mean, the thing that drew me to apply for the job is the opportunity that it offers academically and athletically. Like you said, spoke on athletically. I mean, we have a great facility. We have a phenomenal athletic weight room. We have a great strength coach. And I tell our recruits all the time is you have access to the facilities, you have access to the people that are going to help you get better. Our athletic training staff is phenomenal. Um, so you can get as good as you want to get here. Like, you have everything that you need from a strength and conditioning, nutrition, coaching standpoint to continue to grow and get better. Academically is, I think, where we're unique is, I mean, we are right now transitioning from regional rankings as a university to national, but I mean, we've been 28 last 29 years have been the number one ranked school in the West region. And so it'll be interesting to see where we land in the national rankings when they come out here in a couple of weeks. But we just feel like, I mean, for instance, we've got 5 Trinity basketball alums that are working in the NBA right now. We've got people all across the state and the country and the community that were alums of not the basketball program at the university that are doing phenomenal things. And we have great internship programs that are offered through all of our schools, business schools, and everything else, to where you're going to get a great education and you're going to set yourself up to be successful in whatever it is that you want to do. So I always question quoting stats because half the time I hear them secondhand, so I don't know if they're true or not. But what I can say is that you're going to get a first class experience on both ends of it, and I was intrigued by the school for that reason. And since I was a kid, like we all were playing in the driveway, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit the shot to win the national championship, right? Like, that's always been a dream of mine. And it's a real possibility here. I don't want to say it's easy. It's going to be really tough, but the school has won 6 team national championships, men's soccer, baseball, women's basketball, and 3 tennis. And so it's been done here, and it can be done. And so that's what we're aiming for. We know we have a lot of work to do to get there, but that's in our recruiting and in our preparation and in our work during the season. I mean, that's kind of at the forefront of my mind, is like taking the step forward each year to give ourselves a chance to compete for that. And so we feel like we're in the right direction. We went, first year was the COVID year, like you said, we went 10-2, and last year we were 23-6 and made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament. And we feel like we have a lot of positive momentum moving forward, and have a good team. And I will say, hopefully you guys can come watch us. We play a fun style. We average about 84 points a game. We get up and down, and it's fun. Get a lot of guys in, and play a lot of zone, which is different. So it's unique. And like I said, will we do that again this year? I don't know. We'll see what suits our team the best. But that's kind of in a nutshell, university and the program and where we're trying to get to.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. And any players that wants to go take a look firsthand, I mean, you're here in town, so go check out the beautiful campus.
And
But
real quick,
yeah.
one last thing, Coach. I love how you make yourself accessible to the community as far as reaching out to you. It was very, very simple to just kind of touch base with you. And again, coaches like yourself, and there's a few other schools that do that. I really commend you guys on doing that, because yes, it's about winning and doing the things you're supposed to be doing, but at the same time too, making yourself accessible to the community is important. To be a private institute and still have your door open, that someone can knock on the door and talk with you one-on-one, that's important to me, especially to have kids and be working with kids, because to have that door, to just have a bridge there, and I know how easy it is to come and communicate with you, that's important. And I thank you for doing that and allowing us this time. Again, hopefully you'll come back on the show during the season. I know it's going to be a little bit harder because you play on Saturdays and or the weekends, and that's when we air. But as far as just hoping you get an opportunity to come back on, it's like I'll definitely be at one or two of your games for sure about that.
Great. And absolutely, I appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys are doing the same type of thing and providing a platform for us to, educate people on what we have to offer, and like high school programs as well, and just helping, the young men and women in our communities get opportunities. So I thank you guys for what you're doing too. I know you're taking a lot of time out of your schedules to do that stuff as well. So definitely appreciate you.
All right, Coach. Well, we're going to sign off. Thank you again.
Yep. Thanks.